But we keep the armhole up high. That keeps, well, I'll show you on here. By keeping the armhole up high, the distance between here, the base of the armhole, and the wearer's neck, say that's 9 inches. If you had an armhole that was 2 inches lower, the whole thing can come off the wearer's neck.
Oh.
This controls these points, the front here and the nape of the neck controls the wearer's coat. I mean, if you can.
So that's what keeps it really kind of seated on the neck.
You can't move. The thing is, if you're selling 50,000 suits, a deep armhole fits everyone, but no one.
I mean, you're moving around all over the place, and I don't think I've seen your jacket move once.
No, it's anchored there. It's basically nailed on because of the high armhole.
I mean, what do you have back there? One of the things that I love about London is just the number of exceptionally talented tailors there are. Of course, we all think of the iconic Savile Row, home to some of the world's most prestigious and important bespoke tailoring houses. But off of the row are an equal number of tailors doing work to the absolute highest level. Today we're here to meet one of those, Steven Hitchcock. Steven, it's so nice to be back.
Hi, Kirby. Come on in.
Yeah, thank you. Wow, it's an absolutely beautiful space. Look at this.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, you used to be on 11 St. George's, and this is the first time I've seen, I guess, the new showroom or apartment?
Yes, it's our new London showroom.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in the West End.
Yeah.
But it's our home as well, so we're very lucky to have this, yes.
Well, I mean, of course, you know, thank you so much for having me here. And, you know, I've always admired your work so much. And I think that, you know, there's a certain familiarity with your last name, Hitchcock, of course, because, you know, your father was a true legend in the bespoke tailoring world. I mean, he was the head cutter at Anderson & Shepherd, you know, for a long time.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, lifetime, yeah. His lifetime, yeah.
Lifetime. So, did you have the opportunity to train with him? I mean, with whom?
Yeah,
you know...
I did. I worked from 1990 to 1999 at Anderson & Shepherd. So maybe the first 6 years I was coat making. So I learnt to make a jacket, went through an apprenticeship, and then the last 4 or 5 years I was cutting.
Yeah.
Learnt to cut.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It had to be a real privilege to be able to kind of work with your father there and to learn from him.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Back in the day, there was Mr. Harvey, Mr. Horbury, Mr. Russell. All the cutters there were directors and shareholders, and the same thing as my father.
I mean, what an era, right?
Oh yeah, fantastic. Mr. Horbury. Mr. Halsey, one of the salesmen there, managing director, one of the smartest men, you know, ever dressed.
Yeah, and so you've been, you know, cutting kind of under your own name now for quite some time, and I think, of course, everyone's very familiar with like the Anderson, you know, drape cut.
Sure.
But your cut, I mean, really has seemingly been updated pretty significantly. You know, from your time at Anderson. So I thought it'd be fun. You know, we've got a jacket on a mannequin here. You know, I'm always fascinated because I'm learning so much about kind of technically what goes into different cuts. I thought you might just take a moment and kind of explain to us, you know, your cut, how it's different than what's out there.
Well, it's evolved.
Yeah,
it's evolved over the last 30 years. I've had my own business for about 22 years now.
Wow.
And obviously, when we first started, I was cutting the same way that I cut in the previous 10 years. So it's a Schulte sort of cut. Yeah, so it's just it's 2 fish cuts or 1 fish cut. And it's a very soft jacket, but it was probably a little bit too soft for some clients because of the fronts would collapse and the drape.
What do you mean collapse? Like, I mean, so
well, this is a double-breasted, so you never
more control.
Yeah, a bit more control because you've got the 2 buttons. But on the single-breasted, see, my coat is very clean there, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you wanted, I could still make a few a year anyway, like the old Schulte way, which basically the fronts here will actually collapse.
Kind of inwards, like kind of roll in.
Yeah, they just give because we cut the canvas, or I can do it that way, and that's you cut the canvas 7 inches on the bias, and when the man's body heat and things you put in your pockets, it will literally just collapse. So it will fall down, come off the hips. But the main thing is...
And that's what gave it that really soft look.
It would just collapse, yeah.
But it could look a little frumpy, or, I mean, depending on how you wore it.
It's a very nice look, but no one really... My clients don't associate me with Anderson & Shepherd, they associate me with this.
Yeah.
But I can still make the Schulte cut.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about your cut, though, because another thing, I mean, we had the live stream that we did, you know, where we kind of, you know, during lockdown and everything, you know, spoke. And you also, I mean, you utilize, you know, panels.
Yes.
That, again,
we
you don't see
cuts.
in a traditional drape cut.
Well, yeah, that's the big difference. I mean, when I was trained at Anson Shepherd, we cut and made exactly the same way that they did 100 years ago. But things have evolved. The cloth isn't 20 or 30 ounces anymore. It's 6 or 7. Or this is probably 12 ounces. So the 12 or 13 was the, well, now it's our heavyweight, but it was their lightweight.
Yeah.
You know, more because everyone doesn't have central heating and all that.
Yeah, of course.
You know. So it's completely different. So with the heavy cloths, you can manipulate with the iron, and you can shrink and tailor. But if you've got something like a velvet or silk, you cannot do that. You need to cut the canvas in the way that is, you know, you cut the cuts out basically instead of manipulating and you know, the ironwork's still in there, but it's more done with the cuts. Yeah.
And so you've got some jackets here. I mean, anything you can kind of show in terms of what that actually means? Because
let's have a look at this one.
And you said the fish cut.
Well, I mean, this one is what we would call like the Schulte cut. So that, you know, the Duke of Windsor would wear something like this. This is just 2 fish cuts. So this guy...
So this is a single panel right here.
One panel.
Yeah.
And it can be manipulated with the iron.
Okay.
So, and the man's slim. Say at 33 waist, 38 chest.
Oh, wow.
So there's no...
So it's just kind of like me.
Yeah, it's easy, very easy. It all drapes from the shoulder. And it's one piece. And what we do, we take out 2 fish cuts. So I don't know if you can see these cuts here, but this is a cut.
And so this is a dart, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, is it technically different than a dart, or it's just like potato?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. You say tomato, say tomato.
Yeah.
But it finishes, see, this one, it's 3/8 or an inch in the waist, and we take it straight through the armhole, where years ago we used to finish it 1.5 inches below, but you get a little sort of bubble at the end. So if you take it through and make the armhole wider, it's exactly the same thing. So all these little things, it just makes it a lot neater. Yeah. So this one goes through the flap, so it'll be underneath the flap, so you'll never see any sort of dirt or any sort of, you know, everything matches. It just goes through.
So it goes all the way through the flap.
Yeah.
You know, on the front. So
well,
we would
just below the jetted pockets. When they put the jettings in, you won't see the top of the cut there. But
and so that's what's helping to kind of give that shape. By curving it.
Yeah. Well, this guy, he just needs the 2 fish cuts, and we made for this guy many suits before. So we've made him, you know, a dozen suits or so. So he's
got a very refined pattern.
Yeah, well, yes, I mean, but it's very easy. This is the easiest pattern to cut because there's no... I've just cut 2 fish cuts, but what most people that come to us are, you know, they're not as easy as this. The figuration, so they'll have a bigger chest, or they might have a round back, they might have a drop shoulder, but most people are much bigger, really. But I'll show you the armhole.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, so small, it's very small.
Well, we don't say small. I know people say it's small, but it's high. We keep the height there because we only put a small ply of wadding. So we put a little bit of padding in. If that was 1 inch higher, the armhole would have to be 1 inch higher.
What do you mean 1 inch higher? Like that thick, really?
Some people put a pad in. Yeah, in the old days, I mean, I don't know, you get... most people want to look square, but we don't do that. We make the customer exactly the same shoulder bone that they have.
They have,
Yeah, so when they walk towards you, they look like individuals. You know, don't want them all to look...
Because most jackets these days, I mean, with the exception of a few tailors, really don't have much structure kind of built up in the shoulders.
Right. Okay.
It's really, I mean, am I right there? Or?
Well, I don't know. I mean, this is what we do. I think it's a little bit unique to still use wadding. But
I mean, I think that's actually quite uncommon, to your point.
Yeah, it's uncommon.
Because normally there's even less padding.
Right, okay. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it all depends, again, on the client. If he's got sloping shoulders, you might want a little bit more wadding.
To build it up,
And if you've got a drop right or drop left, we might build up, you know, the other one to make them all look equal. But we keep the armhole up high. That keeps, well, I'll show you on here. By keeping the armhole up high, the distance between here, the base of the armhole, and the wearer's neck, say that's 9 inches. If you had an armhole that was 2 inches lower, the whole thing can come off the wearer's neck.
Oh.
This controls these points, the front here and the nape of the neck controls the wearer's coat. I mean, if you can
so that's what keeps it really kind of seated on the neck,
can't move,
even when you're moving.
But all these seams are sewn by hand, and we do cut our canvas on the bias, but not as much as Schulte did.
Yeah.
Say he did 7 inches, we might go 2 or 3 inches.
Okay.
So it will bed itself in with the body heat, and when you wear it, just the first couple of hours, you know, moving around, and it will just drop in because the canvases all hand sewn.
Yeah.
You can see that there. It's all long and loose. You know, we just put the body canvas, a little bit of horsehair underneath here for the chest, and then the damet. And it's long and loose stitchings. We want that to move again with the wearer.
Yeah. And so there's, I mean, also different tailors pad stitch this with a different density, and you're saying that you stitch it quite loose.
Long and loose, definitely. Okay. Yeah, that's what we want. We don't want anything, we want a drapey cut, so we want to end up with a little bit of drape here, and we want the fronts to actually drop in. When you wear that, the shoulders and sleeves are sewn in by hand. So this is only a baste, but when this is finished, it will actually give a little bit with the wearer. So yeah, we don't want it to be
and that's what allows
plated.
it, you said, kind of like drop in to really kind of
it would
settle.
Just drop. Yeah, it would just drop. After you wore it, wearing the jacket for a few hours, and it just stays like that for life.
Yeah,
you know, it just
beautiful.
gives. Yeah, and that's why it fits you even better after. You know, some of these clients bring back suits after 20 years or something.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I really love about a bespoke garment is that the handwork doesn't exist for the sake of the handwork.
No, exactly.
You know, it really has a purpose in terms of either how it controls the garment, but even kind of more than that, how durable it makes the garment, and that this shape is literally sewn into the garment.
Well, that's right.
It's more likely to remain that way and to be more durable. You can be rough with it. You can really live in it and not worry about it, collapsing or falling apart or all of a sudden losing its shape. You know, the shape is really built into the garment.
Yeah, it's cut into it. I mean, again, this guy doesn't want too much shape, so we've cut it like this. But I can show you, like this one's got, this is what we call a side body. So this one, and most of my work, if you're built like me with a little bit of a belly.
And most of us that have been around, that have lived a good life,
okay. Yeah. But if you need the coat's got to hang from the shoulders and then go over the belly. Yeah. It can't stand out. Okay, so if you can't tailor the cloth with an iron and shrink it away, we take a belly cut out, which goes through the pocket. And to do so, we put a side body through here. I mean, so that's what we do. We put a side body. So these are 2 panels now, and then we can take a bigger cut out of the front cut here. We can take, instead of an 1/8 of an inch and 3/8, we can take, well, 1 inch or whatever you want out the front, really. The more you take out the front, obviously, keep this closer. This coat here, it will be closer fitted on the client here, and by taking this away, it makes the chest bigger. So it all depends. Yeah.
Kind of puffs it out.
Yeah, and then what we do, we like a very straight coat. So this point here, the more you come back, is the straighter the coat would be. And that makes the drapier. If I was to crooked this up, you get a much cleaner coat. We're not after a clean coat, we're after a drapey coat. So we cut a straight coat.
And what does that do? I mean, most people think, I want it to be clean, right? And
but
you're saying
clean.
Like you don't want too much. You don't want it too clean.
Well, clean means 2 different things, but these are clean.
Yeah.
These have got drape, but it's a controlled drape. It's a higher drape. The drape's here. So there's no drape down here. Some of them are a bit messy down here. We're not after all that. We want a high drape, and that's controlled by the cuts and the tailors that we use. And
what does that allow for, though? I mean, you've got this right here.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're building in that drape.
Well, the drape, there's many things that the drape will give you. The main thing is comfort. Because the armhole is high, we have to put a big sleeve in. Right? So we add on 3 inches, which some people say you can't do, but you can. But we make it a wide sleeve. It can't be, I hear so many times, we do a small armhole. And if you put a small armhole on a coat and you put a small sleeve in there, you won't be able to move. So what you need drape at the front and at the back, so you can move, easily. Yeah. That's how we cut all our suits with drape. And you can't see it. You can't see that coat is 1 inch straight or a 1/2 inch straighter. This line here could be more crooked or more straight. And it's all in the cut. It all hangs from here. You get a nice straight edge on this double-breasted.
Yeah. And I guess the point is, at the end of the day, it's easy to make something look great on the mannequin, right? But at the end of the day, we have to live and be able to move in our clothing. And if the clothing isn't built in a way that looks good with the movement, then you're going to wear the jacket, and throughout the day you're going to not look good most of the time because the jacket was, too structured or too tight or too whatever, and wasn't able to really kind of account for that movement. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, this has not been made for the mannequin. This is made for a client. Yeah. I don't make anything for a mannequin, but I know what you mean. But they go on there and they look okay. I mean, I've pinned it at the back there a little bit, but you can see what we're trying to achieve.
Everything looks great stationary. I mean, if I stand like this, my jacket looks great.
Yes.
The question is if I'm at my desk, or I'm smoking a cigar, or I'm walking down the street, if I'm actually,
you need to get the armholes up,
living, how does it look, And so that's kind of the point of all this extra effort that you're describing, is so that it's able to really kind of accommodate the range of movement while still looking great. Yeah,
that's what we've developed over the last 30 years. Is a coat that you can wear, anywhere. In a car, you can go out for a meal, you can sit, you can throw a ball. The collar will always be anchored to your neck. Mm-hmm. It will never come off your neck, because it can't, because the from here to there is much shorter, or fits perfectly. Basically, these points are, when we first cut the pattern, we cut the armhole a little bit high, and a lot of people, they comment on the sleeves, like they say, well, the checks don't match on that, but it's a baste, because if the armhole needs to be deepened, you take the sleeve out and you put it back in, and it will go down. Mm-hmm. If you match the sleeves up at the beginning and you have to make the armhole deeper, you throw the sleeve away and start again. Some of these clients haven't been in for 18 months, so the cloth will be a different shade.
Yes, that's right.
So we can't,
different dye lot.
So it doesn't work like that. But
so whenever you cut the sleeve for the basic fitting, you cut it quite generous and large to allow you to...
Well, not large, but the pattern, we try to match the patterns up. In this one, it does match up horizontally and vertically and horizontally. So it's good. But we have made for this gentleman before, as I say, so we know the armhole is good. But on a brand new client, we would cut this down, 1/2 inch maybe, and baste it in, and then we take the sleeve out while it's on the gentleman and just see where the armhole is. Because it's got to be perfect. This armhole has got to be right underneath your armhole. It can't be an inch low, because then you've got that inch of play when you're moving. And you don't want that. That's why we don't put a big pad in, because the more you put up there, you've got to take the armhole deeper. You can't.
Yeah, interesting.
This is exactly the same, but this is one with a sideboard. You're talking about this one, Kirby?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
it's a beautiful flannel.
Yes.
Is it a flannel? Yeah,
it is a flannel.
It's got a hard finish.
Yeah, Haverson's this one.
Yeah.
But this one, I believe, has got the side body.
Yes.
So I will get a pattern out in a minute and show you, but basically this has got the pattern, so we can take a little bit of belly cut, which obviously brings that down, and you can see the front edge. The more you take away from here, not the more, but if you take 1/2 inch out from here, you're making the front edge tighter.
Okay.
And this is what tailors have tried to do over 200 years with the iron. Obviously you want to curve the coat. You don't want a flat coat. The point is making up a flat coat and putting it on, because it would turn out, probably come off. You can see underneath.
Yeah.
It's got to hug your figure. So by doing that, it makes this tighter. You're making this shorter, which makes the front edge tighter.
Yeah, it's really incredible.
So it wants to always come round. It always wants to come round the body. It doesn't want to do that.
Yeah. I still really find it amazing that tailors are able to take flat cloth and shape it into such beautiful garments. I mean, it's...
Well, that's right.
No small feat, for sure.
Well, no, it's experience,
and then you can kind of see the chest right here.
Yes, well, this guy's got a very athletic figure.
Okay.
So he's maybe 42 chest, 36 waist. So he's got a very good figure to start with. So you want to make him look good. You don't want him to you want to get the shape in there, because he's been working out to look good, hasn't he?
Of course.
So it's always the same. But with the side body, we can get it closer here. So that will be closer there, and you can see the light underneath the armhole, which makes you look taller again.
Okay.
You don't want to look boxy. And then we always have the front edge a little bit loose. So if you want to do it up, you can still sit down if you really wanted to.
With it buttoned.
Yeah, because it won't come off your neck, because the key measurements are sorted out at the first fitting.
Yeah, interesting.
So it's we think it's one of the most comfortable garments you can have.
Well, I mean, you're very well respected and renowned for having a beautiful clean garment.
Oh, thank you.
That drapes beautifully. Can you show it on a bundle? So you spoke a little bit earlier about cutting on the bias. I know again the classical drape cut is cut really on the bias.
Yes.
Which is what allows that stretch and that softness.
Yes.
You've updated your cut kind of as you've evolved. So it'd be interesting to see kind of practically looking at the cloth how that's different.
I can get a bundle out for you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. So you were talking a little bit about 7 inches on the bias for a traditional drape cut, like a sheltie cut.
Sure.
Or 3 inches on the bias. I mean, you've got canvas, a bundle here. I mean, what exactly does that mean? Because it's fascinating to kind of see it actually shown.
Okay, I'll show you.
And this, of course, is the bundle that you would give to a tailor after, or a coat maker.
Yeah, coat maker. Yeah, I've cut the cloth or cut the pattern, then I've traced around that, cut the cloth, and then we've thrown some trimmings in there, linings, buttons, pocketing. Yeah. So the canvas has actually changed a little bit from 30 years ago, but this is much better now. This is an Italian canvas.
Okay.
And this goes into a bucket of water overnight. And it might shrink a little bit, but years ago it used to shrink sort of 3 inches.
Really, yeah.
But this, it always bounces back, so you could fold this up, and it just comes back to life.
Yeah.
So there's much.
And again, that's the durability of the garment, right? Is that you can throw it in the back of the car, you can put it in, but you put it in your suitcase or something. Right. But it's not going to totally collapse the moment that it's taken off of a hanger.
Exactly. Yeah. No, the way we cut the canvases. So we've got here all the bits and bobs that we put in there. But, see, this is the horsehair that we put in. So we would cut that again on the bias.
And this is, again, to give the
it's got to go across. Yeah, this gives you strength just across the chest. We don't like a big piece, and we don't like several pieces. Yeah. We just have the body canvas and the horsehair.
So you work out with your coat makers, and I mean, you work with the same coat makers. They're very familiar with how you like your canvas built.
Sure. Oh,
because everyone, I mean, even the canvas, I mean, between tailors could be done totally different.
Correct, yeah. So I'm saying, some people, years ago, I mean, now I don't know, but I mean, years ago, some people would put 7 or 8 pieces of canvas inside. Yeah. Well, it's just a stiffer coat. It's a nice coat, but it's more military. We're trying to get comfortable. We don't need all them pieces.
Yeah.
So, and we want the coat to collapse a little bit over the wearer. So the way we do that is...
And then what's the other piece, just real quick, since we have that out, the felt...
Yeah, the Demet.
The Demet. I think you set it down right there. Yeah. Right, just because it's interesting to see the different materials that's used in building the canvas.
Sure, but that's the collar canvas.
Okay.
So that's stiffer.
Much stiffer. Wow.
Yeah, because you want that to be nice. You don't want that to collapse. But there's a little bit of collar melton, so that makes up the undercollar. And then this is what we put in the top of the sleeves.
Okay.
So we don't put any foam or anything. It's just a little bit of Demet.
Very soft.
Yeah, it's soft. Yeah. So all we're using this for is to cover the horsehair, because this is actual horse's hair, and that has stuck through. It can come through your coat, if it's not covered correctly.
So you would have, the canvas, the horsehair, and then this, and that's the 3 layers of your
of course, that's all we need. We don't want anything else, because we want the coat to give, and by that I mean, where's the fore part? So this is going to be the front of the jacket, only the very front there. After the canvas has been shrunk and it won't shrink anymore, the coat maker would lay the coat, this piece, the front of the fore part, onto the canvas. So this is what I would call straight.
Okay.
And then that is what I would say, sort of 7 inches. So where's my tape measure? I mean, it's all horses for courses. It all depends on what the customer.
So what's an example of a Savile Row tailor that would cut a jacket with a straight canvas?
Well, most
like a
people
Huntsman,
do.
like something more structured, without knowing specifically.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I know they would. Yeah, they would probably do it more. Most people do it on the straight because they probably don't want the coat to give at all. But we want it to give a little bit. I mean, as I say, the old way.
Between this being kind of maybe a predominant cut right now, and then really on the bias would be like the opposite end, the sheltie cut.
Yeah, that is when the fronts will collapse.
And then you've kind of taken it somewhere in the middle.
Well, we don't want it to be messy down here. We don't want the fronts to collapse, because obviously when it's on the bias, it can give.
Yeah,
so it will give a lot more. So you wear it a couple of times with your body heat and the things you put in your pockets, it will accelerate the fronts just dropping down.
Yeah.
But we don't want it to collapse, so we want to go just a little bit on the bias. You know, so you get a little bit of the, you know, this is still going to give, but down here,
but not as much.
It's not nice and straight. Yeah, it doesn't collapse.
Does it give less here? No, it's the same.
Well, yeah, if you can cut the canvas, I remember when I was at Anderson Shepherd, Mr. Pitt, years ago, he said if you can cut the canvas in half and have the top half on the bias and the bottom on the straight, it'd be fantastic.
Perfect, yeah.
But you can't do that. So you've got to
be a single piece.
Yeah, it's basically yeah.
And the canvas on your jackets, I mean, really is covering the entire front panel all the way down.
Well, yeah, no. When the canvas,
or where do you stop it?
They would cut the canvas, and normally the coat maker would cut the canvas around here, so just underneath the front side, and it would just come through a third of the pocket down the front. So it's just the fronts that are covered in the canvas, but you can see here.
And that's what gives this. You know, I mean, this is a hop sack.
Yeah.
And again, if you were to just make a jacket with no canvas, it'd have
no guts.
Yeah.
No guts. I mean, yeah, this is not as soft. We can make this softer, but this is what we would do for 90% of our tailoring because it lasts 30 years.
Yeah,
you know, it's not something you're going to last for 6 months. This is something that's going to last a long, long time.
Yeah.
But as you can see here, we've got a very large cut at the front here, and we've got this wedge.
And this is the fishtail.
Well, no, this is the opposite to that. The fish cut is an open-ended cut. Well, this is actually a pattern I've got here. So you can see here, these are 2 fish cuts.
Okay.
So this one's going to be a 1/4 of an inch, and this one's an 1/8 of an inch.
Okay.
It's this is what we call a Schulte cut pattern. You know, it's one piece, and then the tailor would manipulate that down there, keep that nice and shrink that in, and then they would canvas it and push the coat to the back and tailor it correctly. Okay. You get a nice coat, but this is only if the he's got a 36 chest and a 29 waist.
Yeah, wow.
So he's neat.
Yeah.
You know, most people aren't so neat. So if they're bigger, you've got a big chest. It's no good taking an 1/8 of an inch out there. I don't think so. I mean, it just won't come in. It would just stay out. So with this cut, you do this in the canvas as well. Any cut you put in the fore part of the coat must go into the canvas.
Yeah.
And I've seen it before with tailors. They would make up. You know, the cutter would give them this, and they just put a flat piece of canvas together. It doesn't work. You must have both. So by taking an inch out of this front cut instead of an 1/8, it's completely different. You're getting a lot more shape in there like that.
Is this the pattern for this jacket?
No. 2 different things. Okay. So this, we've taken the wedge out of the pocket there. By taking that big cut out, it will throw cloth straight away into the chest, and then we've got a little chest cut here.
That helps kind of take it out up on the shoulder.
Well, not on the shoulder.
Well,
this is the shoulder.
What would you call this?
This is the bridle. This is, you know, down here. You know,
the top chest.
You can call it the top chest, but it's the bridle. And from there to there, you know, this is just making that a little bit shorter there, which helps a little bit. And also by bringing that, having it like this, that's where it was to begin with, this neck point. By bringing that cut on like this, you've actually straightened that coat. The coat's actually come forward. So this is what, you know, I like a straight coat, and people get confused with the straightness. So that's my coat there. If I straighten it, it would get straighter and straighter. If I want to quicken the coat, it comes back.
Yeah. And when you talk straight, you're talking about just the kind of really the angle of the lapel.
Well, no, it's everything. It's the whole. It's the whole way it hangs on your shoulders. But let me show you here.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here we are. I've got a pattern here of the fore part. So this is the fore part, the front. Even though this is a single-breasted, and I'll just show you up here about the straightening of the coat. This neck point here, I like more forward than most. More forward you come. This is where your neck would be here. So instead of, if you bring that more forward, the coat actually goes backwards and you get more drape through the front here. So what I like to do, when I cut my pattern, I like to always just put my finger there and have a look how the coat is sitting. Now if I was to quicken that, you can see the coat would go back.
Yeah.
And if I was to straighten that even more, it would scissor. So that's too straight for this client.
Okay.
You know, so that wouldn't work. So by having it just here, it hangs perfectly. So I know on the client it's going to be very good. As I say, I want to get this neck point as straight as I can. So that's this line here. The straighter the better. If it was crooked, you're taking away chest from this point. You're making this closer. But I want to make this drapier. So I cut it in I know it's difficult to understand, but it does work. It gives you more room in that area, but without it looking messy.
Yeah. So what do you think the hallmarks are of a kind of a Steven Hitchcock jacket? So if I saw someone walking down the street, you know, and someone were to describe a suit that was made by you, what would you kind of want them to say?
Well, it's a very, very comfortable suit. Obviously, the main features are the high armhole, the wide sleeve, the shoulders at an angle. You know, we don't want to build up the shoulders. We want to keep them a natural shoulder, high armhole, but we cut this coat with shape. So it's close on the sides and roomy on the front. You know, we don't want it to be skin tight everywhere. We want the coat to actually hang from the shoulders. So it's a comfortable drapey coat, front and back. We have drape front and back, high armhole.
Yeah, and then also, you know, really kind of well seated on the neck. I mean, you're moving around all over the place, and I don't think I've seen your jacket move once.
No, it's anchored there. It's basically nailed on because of the high armhole.
I mean, what do you have back there?
No, it's just the distance from here to here is shorter.
Yeah.
You don't need a deep armhole. People think, well, I don't know what they think, but they think a deep armhole, a
more
big
comfortable.
armhole, more comfortable. But the thing is, if you're selling 50,000 suits, a deep armhole fits everyone, but no one. If you're getting something made properly,
it fits everyone, but no one great.
No, because when they sit down, you can literally pick the coat off. You know, if you see someone with a great big armhole, you can actually take the coat straight off over the head. I mean, it's because you've got so much movement there, so much play. You've got to have these points. That's a point, that's a point, and that's a point. They've got to be correct. Then you put the style into that coat, and I like, as I say, a drapey fit. So you've got movement.
Yeah. So if you were to cut a jacket for me, I mean, how, like, is your, you know, kind of the rock of eye, you know, kind of visualizing the aesthetic, you know, what do you think you would do?
For yourself?
Yeah.
Well, I would cut you in the same way as, you know, a Schulte sort of cut with the two fish cuts, open-ended, because you don't really need...
That's to kind of create this shape, but I don't need that much.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. If you wanted to define shape, you would cut out a side body and you could take out as much as you want, inches. But you don't, most people don't want to look, you know, too shapely.
Because, you know, I've got pretty wide hips, right? So if you bring it in too much in the waist, then it's only going to make the hips look wider.
Yes.
And that goes into really the eye of a tailor and kind of balancing one's aesthetic.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the jacket should really moderate and sculpt the physique so that it is balanced and even and pleasant to the eye versus, you know, how we most look, or how most of us look.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, everyone's different. So, you know, there's no way that I'm going to cut before I see a person. It's the posture. You know, if their posture tells me I can cut it this way, then I cut it this way. But if the posture tells me they've got a round back or big chest or huge chest, or some people are concaved. Yeah, whatever but then we need to do cuts. You can't,
different cuts, You
can't manipulate
it can't be
them
one thing.
No, you can't. You can't. But the overall look is always the same. The soft shoulder, the high armhole, the comfort. You know, that's what we're all about. But it's a clean coat. It's not a messy coat. So the drape is a high drape. You know, it's not down here. This is kept neat. But you've got high drape. You know, some other tailors would do a drape, but it would come down here. It's not what we're after. We're after a high drape.
High drape, yeah. That's great. So how often are you, you know, now that travel's back up, how often are you normally traveling to the United States?
Well, we're going to be doing 3 trips a year, as we used to do. Yeah.
And which cities do you hit?
New York City, and then we take the train down to Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And then we fly over to Los Angeles.
Okay, so New York, D.C., and L.A.
Yeah. Okay. And we can't wait. I mean, it's been such a long time, Well,
I'm sure your clients are equally excited.
Yeah, we've got, very busy.
And then, of course, anyone in London can come visit you here in this beautiful workshop.
Yeah.
And then, you know, your Instagram is something I've often appreciated because you're quite active on Instagram.
Yeah, we love it. We love it because we're actually doing the cutting ourselves. I do the cut. It's very easy for me to
just film something.
Film something every day. It's easy because we're not pretending. We're not salesmen or we're not. You know, doing anything else. I'm actually cutting the garments for every, you know, as you know, I do 150 a year.
Yeah.
So I oversee everything, you know, from the cutting to the tailoring and, but I cut and fit everything.
Yeah.
Every
well, that's true bespoke, right?
Yeah.
The person doing the fitting and the measuring is the same person that's cutting, and that actually is even better if they know the client.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah, you get to know the client, you get to know what they want, and you can adapt that pattern. Most of our clients, this is a new client, that pattern there. But this one, all the ones you see here, customers we've had for many, many years. Yeah. We're very lucky that we keep hold of our clients and they just return after 10 years or whatever.
Yeah, great. Well, hey, Steven, thank you so much for taking time with me.
Pleasure. Thank you.
And it's a pleasure to see you again here in London. And I can't tell you how great it is to be back in British soil. And we look forward to welcoming you back to American soil here soon. And you know, it's so great to be able to have you really kind of explain so much more about what's behind your magnificent cuts, because you know, I've always admired, you know, at a distance your work, and it's great to have you speak more about it with us.
Oh, thank you, Kirby.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.